Well, a good afternoon to you. This is the Central Florida Computer Society, the Windows Special Interest Group, or the WinSIG, for Sunday, May 9th, 2021. I'm Huey Poplock, and I welcome you to our meeting. And as usual, I have a schedule set up of some items to cover, and those are always posted on my website. Let's go ahead and full screen this and make it bigger. These are the items that I have scheduled for today. I may not get to all of them. I may skip a few. I may not do them in this order. But usually within sometime during the week prior to these meetings, I go and post them on huey.net in the WinSIG page. For those of you who haven't checked out my website in a few months, I have updated it, so it is a lot different than what it was. The WinSIG page is now by itself, but there aren't a lot of the old links that I had for 20 years or almost 20 years up there that I hadn't updated. And so that's all gone. And I do want to show you that I do have a page on that's called YouTube, and I can show you my YouTube channel, and you can just go to that page and click on this. It'll take you to the YouTube channel for all of my stuff. The Tech for Seniors channel, you can click on that. The Central Florida Computer Society, where I post the WinSIG meetings generally, will be there on the CFCS channel. Then on the third Thursday of the month, Ron Brown and I have the Learning Chromebooks, and there's this that's on the same channel as Tech for Seniors, and when you click there, you'll see both of those. Bob G, who is part of our Tech for Seniors and crew, as far as every week he does a security roundup, and all of his stuff is on his channel, and you can go there by clicking here. APCUG posts all of the VTCs and their workshops, the recordings of them. You can go to their channel by clicking the black box there. And then I'm also on the board of directors at the Sarasota Technology User Group. And if you want to go to their channel and see what their members and what their meetings are like, you can go and do it there. So by all means, take a look at all of those. And it's also a good source. If you can't remember how to get to one of the channels, go to huey.net, go to the YouTube page, and you can choose the channel of your choice. Okay, let's get started. I do have on the website Jere's Tech Tips. I don't know if you're a member of a group that is a APCUG member, which is an association of user groups. Jere Minnick is one of their advisors. He's on their board of advisors, and he's the advisor for Florida and the Southeast. And he has put together on a regular basis a bunch of tips. And so let's take a look at those. I just and you can actually ask him some questions if you want. You click there and it'll send him an email. But every few days he posts either Windows and Android tech tips or Apple and iOS tech tips. And we'll just kind of look through here. I'm not going to go through these, but these are some great things that I've discovered, some things for me to use in either some of my presentations or to share with others on Facebook. But he finds some really neat things that he posts, and then there's a link to them. And you can see these are all the ones that he just did yesterday or day before yesterday. And then here's the Apple Tech tips for this week. And some of them have to do with the iOS or the Mac operating system. As you can see, as I go through these a little bit fast, but not too fast, I hope. And then that was on the 7th, and on the 2nd, he had done another set of them. And so they're grouped by Apple Tech tips and Windows and Android tech tips. You might want to check every couple of days huey.net, and then take a look at the Jere's Tech Tips. So let's come back here. Now, Microsoft is getting ready for their new update. their next update, which will be 21H1. That means it's a 2021, and it's the first half of the year. And it's usually April, sometimes May. And here it is, we're well into May. We're over a week into May. And so they haven't given a date when they're going to release it. I'm not on the, I'm not a tester, and I'm not a beta tester for the updates. I know Bill James, who's on here, is, and maybe he can give us some insight, and maybe he's heard when they're going to release it and how heavily they have changed it. It was my understanding this wasn't going to be a big change. And this article, let's go ahead and open it and make it, let's see, I want to use this. Come on. I'm going to use the print friendly. I think I can make that bigger. Oh, yeah, I can do it here. Make it about 130%. Yeah, there we go. Microsoft has announced that it's published the final build of Windows 10 21H1, also known as the Windows 10 May 2021 update. So what can you expect when it hits your PC? Well, one feature, okay, maybe two. No one quite expected Microsoft to release a major Windows 10 feature update in the spring of 2021, given the work Microsoft has been putting into the forthcoming Windows 10X. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. Still, few would predict just two consumer-facing features, with only one of them something that a typical user might do. The rest are bug fixes. The rest is bug fixes. Anyway, the rest are bug fixes or is bug fixes. In February, a blog post, John Cable, Microsoft's vice president of program management, interesting name for somebody in that position, listed the new features inside Windows 10. Microsoft senior program manager Brandon LeBlanc confirmed that the features list had remained unchanged. Windows Hello multi-camera support to allow users to choose an external Windows Hello camera priority when using high-end displays with integrated Windows Hello cameras. Probably doesn't affect most of us. And the Windows Defender Application Guard, or WDAG, performance improvements, including optimizing document opening scenario times. In other words, if you own a laptop with an integrated camera, but opted to buy a higher end Windows Hello webcam that you can use instead, Windows will now prioritize the better camera. I'm not going to go through any more of this article, but it kind of gives you an idea. It says how to get the Windows 10 update. Let's see, I don't think I can make, yeah, we can make it a little bit bigger here. Fortunately, there's an upside to the dearth of new features. You can expect the update should be quick and painless, like a monthly update, Cable wrote. And I haven't seen this yet, but what you'll see is something like this when you go to the Windows update in your settings, and it'll say the feature update to Windows 10 version 21H1 is available, and you can download and install it if it is available. If you don't do this manually, eventually that will become one of the updates that you'll get somewhere along the line over the next month or longer. And let's see. The Windows 10 21H update will initially distribute it as a seeker release for those who go into Windows Update and ask for it. Then it starts rolling out gradually after that. Let's see, move this down a little bit so I can see here. So you want to close that and close that and come back here. Announcing Windows 10 Insider Preview build. That was just some more information of some of the things that might be in this update. Windows 10 is getting a new File Explorer, icons as part of a visual overhaul. I think this article kind of shows the differences, and let's go ahead. So you can see them. They're going to look a little different. The icons have been with us for about 15 years. And they haven't updated them. And so they're going to change the icons. Whoopie-doo. But they are going to change them and make some changes in them. Mike Leach, I'm going to mute you. So they're going to update some of the icons so it'll look a little bit different. So you'll know that you're in the new version, I guess, is one way of knowing that. This is like the before and after. This is the current icon. This is what a new one's going to look like. This is your recycle bin, and they're turning it a little bit and making it bigger. So not going to be a lot of differences. Here's the before. Your folder is going to look like what looks like this now. This is what it will look like with the new version, the update. And here's some more. OneDrive known folder, and then the OneDrive style will be changed. And so it's going to look like this. And that's it on that article. How to customize Windows 10 news and interest taskbar feed. This was an interesting article, and I really was interested in it.
I'm running it now since I'm an insider.
Yeah, and I'm not running it because I can't get it. I thought the article seemed to indicate that it might be available. I actually turned it on, but it's not available to me yet. So I can't show it to you. And
did you check in the taskbar itself under the view? If it's installed, you'll have another option.
There's my taskbar. My right mouse clicked, and I don't even see a view. So
under toolbars, you should have. Setting. No, go to toolbars. Under your taskbar, right click, then look at toolbars.
Let's do that again. Okay. Taskbar settings.
No, toolbars. Right click on your taskbar, go to toolbars, and you don't have it because it didn't go to everybody. It only went to some.
Yep. They didn't like me. I feel bad.
I was able to install it on 1 out of 4 computers.
Okay. So anyway, what I did do is I did find the what they call Microsoft News, and I put it down on the taskbar so I could pretend I had it. And that's what it looks like. And I think that's what it's going to look like. Is that not correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
It's going to look like this, but it's going to be on your taskbar by default, not doing it the way I did it. But you can set up the local weather, and you'll have all the news articles that you want. And you can set what groupings of news articles you want. You set your interests, and those are the ones that they're going to show you. So I think it will be good. Since I stopped watching most of the newscasts, whether they be on any of the major channels, any of the cable channels, including Fox, CNN, I don't watch any of them anymore. So I don't keep up with the news like I should and like I used to. And I think this will at least get me a little bit back into what's going on in the world. So I'm looking forward to it, but as you see that it's not available for most people, and it's not available to me at this point either. So let's go ahead and.
Bill's hand is up.
Huey, I was going to say, I got it, and interesting enough, it just shows the weather. It doesn't. It's when I got the new icon, I was wondering and then when I hover over the weather, then it shows me all the top news stories. It's a rather odd presentation.
Is that the way you're seeing it too, Bob?
Do you see the weather on your taskbar?
You're muted, Bob.
It shows the weather current weather. And then when
Yes.
you hover your mouse over that icon, then it pops up the news, and you can from there select whatever you want to look at. Or you can click on the icon for the weather and it pops it up.
I think, yeah, that's something I think I'm going to enjoy having on my desktop. We all are different in the way we like our screens to look and what we have available. But that's something that I probably will make sure that's there and I'll use it.
Sometimes it's a pain because you accidentally hover and it pops it up while you're in the middle of doing something else. So it's something you have to get used to.
Yeah, well, that's the same with most of them. If you hover over them, you see how many, if you got a lot of windows like I a lot of times have open, I'm sure you do, Bob, as well. You'll see those little screens and they pop up all the time. So yeah, it's, you get used to it after a while. Any other comments or questions from anybody on what I've covered so far? All right, let's get back to it then. Share screen. And go to so that's the news and interests in Windows 10. Go ahead and open this. The Windows 10 timeline feature is going away. I'm sure that most of us are really disappointed that it is. I say that very sarcastically because I don't use it at all. But maybe some of you do. But it looks like it's going to go away because it was an ambitious feature that, but Microsoft announced that it's probably going away. It was launched in 2017. It was designed to make it easier for users to swap between multiple devices, transitioning seamlessly from a Windows 10 PC to an Android to an iOS phone and back. It's no surprise that Timeline is getting deprecated. It was a feature that heavily relied on Microsoft's Cortana assistant, which would prompt users to resume tasks from device to device. Cortana was particularly important part of building out the timeline experience on iOS and Android devices where Microsoft obviously had less control. Given that Cortana's prevalence in Windows has been heavily diminished and the mobile apps completely discontinued, it makes sense that Microsoft would sunset Timeline as well. Let's go back here. How to change Microsoft's Office default save location in Windows 10. Let's see. I put something new in here and did I miss it? Or did it go away? Let me refresh the screen and see if it comes. I thought I added the fact that Microsoft is doing away. You know what? I bet I didn't save it. Let's see if I can find the article anyway. And somebody's tapping on their microphone. It works. Yeah, Bob, if you can see who's tapping on that, would you mute them? Let's see here. This was the next article that I thought I added about 10 minutes before the meeting, and I probably forgot to save it. But Microsoft has shelved Windows 10X. We've talked about it over the last couple of meetings, and Windows 10X ostensibly on the back burner for the time being and may not ever arrive. Windows 10X won't be launching anytime soon, if ever, because Microsoft is pouring its resources into a Windows 10 update with a refreshed interface codenamed Sun Valley. Windows 10 isn't coming to market. Microsoft promised Windows 10X would be shipping in spring of 2021, but plans have reportedly changed because the ill-fated software has apparently been shelved before it ever launched. Apparently, that's because Microsoft has been too busy working on a new Windows variant slated to come down the pike later this year. According to one story, as we head into spring 2021, the plans are changing again for the OS. According to people familiar with the company's plans, Microsoft will not be shipping Windows 10X this year, and the OS as you know it today will likely never arrive. As a result, Windows 10X is on the back burner for the time being. So what was it? It was a variant of Microsoft's operating system designed for use on the Surface Neo, which is Microsoft's folding device, dual screen devices, and other multi-screen form factors. The operating system shares basic technologies with the regular Windows edition, including core OS features and the NT kernel. It builds on top of that with a reworked user interface that's optimized for touch input and specific interactions on a dual screen phone and tablets. And it was originally announced in October 2019 as Microsoft's answer to Google's Chrome OS, in other words, the Chromebooks. But after 6 months, Microsoft admitted the initial version of Windows 10X would only work on single screen devices like clamshell laptops and 2-in-1 PCs. So now that we learned that this exciting project may have been shelved indefinitely, which is a shame according to this author, keep in mind that this is just a rumor based on information from people who are supposedly familiar with the matter. Microsoft, on its part, has not officially announced that it's abandoning it, but it's entirely possible that work on 10X could resume after Microsoft finishes a visual overhaul of the desktop. But it looks like at this point, the Windows 10X, which we were discussing and here and on other programs that I've been on, saying that they want it to be the answer to the Chrome OS, it looks like they're not going to do it. So Chrome OS is still going to be the ease of use and probably the leader in the education market as well. Now, I have seen that Microsoft is going to, where was I going to go with this now? I lost my train of thought. I was thinking about it. Anyway, so it looks like 10X. Oh, I know. We had a good discussion several months ago on the pay-as-you-go operating system, and as far as I know, that's still going to happen sometime this spring, which is, in other words, in the next couple of months, we may still hear the subscription-based Windows as a service where it's cloud-based, entirely cloud-based. Now, whether that was going to be related to the 10X and whether it's going to happen without 10X, I haven't heard and I haven't seen any articles about it, but we're going to have to just kind of keep our eyes open. And when I hear something, I'll either post it in my blog, I'll post it on Facebook, or we'll discuss it on Tech for Seniors or Tech for Seniors Live. Let's go ahead and close this. Not that, this. Close this. And so where are we here? How to change the Microsoft default save location. Before we go to that, let's go ahead and stop the share and see if there's any comments or questions.
10X is totally and wholly dependent on the Microsoft Store. Nothing else would ever load on 10X. And that, which I thought was one of the big drawbacks to 10X. You also needed a touch device in order to use it.
Yep. Any other comments? Good comments and good observations. Yeah, Steve.
Yeah, I don't know if 10X will solve the security problem. I really don't like the idea of a subscription service, but if in fact it really keeps us safe and keeps people from hacking into our computer, that might be worth it. So I would like to hear more about that if in fact that's part of the theme. The other
10X,
thing,
10X is not the same as the subscription service. Two different things.
Okay, well, the subscription service is the one I'm talking about. So a cloud-based service that's totally secure, that doesn't allow hackers and so on. And I don't know how they could do that, because then you might have other apps on your computer that are not Microsoft based, and how could you secure against that as well? I don't know, but we hear daily now about large systems being hacked into and getting smaller and smaller systems, and that is frightening for sure.
Stephen, there's no such thing as 100%. I don't care what you do, somebody will find a way of getting into it.
Yeah, it's a never-ending problem. As good as some of the things about being online and taking care of some of these things there's always somebody that's trying to take advantage of us. And I don't know if hopefully you subscribed to our Tech for Seniors newsletter, but I talked about an article from AARP that where somebody who was very knowledgeable in how to handle these situations was able to fool some of the hackers and turned around and actually got into their systems and hacked them. It's an interesting read. And I did talk about it in the Tech for Senior newsletter, and I will post something about it somewhere soon. Be sure to read that article. It's quite lengthy, but it's about a guy that spent several years and documented everything. And he was able not only to hack into the guys, the services that were scamming people, but their bosses were watching them work, and he was able to get into their cameras. So he actually had pictures of the service center that was hacking into people. And that was the ones that come up with the big pop-ups and say, call this number, and then bilk you out of thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars, and then get into your system as well. So it's a really interesting read. Yes, Tom.
Just curious, not to say the whole story, about what country were they in?
Some of them were in India. And they were able to raid they did have some government backing in both in India and the US, and they were able to close down one of the centers because of this guy's hacking of them. So he has to be very careful that they don't find out who he is, because they were making hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in profits by bilking mostly senior.
India and Bangladesh.
Yeah, I believe so. I can't remember all of the places but these centers are all over the place. They actually arrested somebody here in the US who's operating out of California too.
I think they had the bosses in one country and the people doing the hacking were in a completely different country.
Yeah. And I'm going to do a video on a website that I found that it's a good way to look at some websites that advertise on such places as Facebook. I've lost some money now a couple of times where I've ordered something and they have sent me something totally different. It wasn't the item that I wanted. It wasn't something I even needed, or it wasn't the item, and it wasn't anything I wanted as well. But any a reference to it, to somebody to complain to the payers or the services that I was using to pay, they would say, well, we have a record that he received it. So they say they're giving you such an item that's a big deal, and then when you get it, it's not the same item, but they have a record that you received it. So,
Yui, have you had experience in these kind of purchases using PayPal?
I really haven't challenged them. They haven't been enough for me to spend the time to, $10 or $15 here or there. And so I just didn't go through the aggravation. I chalked it up to experience.
Yui,
Yes. George.
I did read the entire article, which, as you say, is a really good read. But as interesting, perhaps more so, are the 3 or 4 videos on YouTube that this guy created showing some of what he described in the article. So
Yeah, well, he kind of broke up. George kind of broke up there, but what he was saying is there are some videos related to that article as well, documenting what the guy saw and found, and those are really good videos to watch. And I haven't taken the time to do that. I need to do that myself. I didn't mean to step on Bob G's toes on that one either, by the way, Bob. I apologize, but I just thought that was a good article, because one of the things it did say, and it kind of, as I look around the room here, it said that the majority of the people who are being scammed are senior citizens, and it's something that we all need to not only be aware ourselves, but we also need to talk to our friends, our neighbors, and members of groups that we belong to in our age group that aren't as savvy as some of you and some of us, and don't know enough. When one of those things, my neighbor next door came running into me with the laptop in hand saying, I almost sent off $360 to these people and I shut it off. What happened and what can I do? She was to the point where she didn't have a credit card. And so she was about to give them her bank account information for them to get it out of her bank account. Luckily, she didn't do that. So some people just, they don't know how to handle those situations. And those people are aware of it, and they know how to work on your emotions, their psychology. The way they work is just amazing. And they just get you. Even some people who you would think would know better get bit for big amounts of money. One lady in the article, she had to show them a picture in front of her camera to show them a box of $10,000 in cash that she was going to FedEx them to pay because they didn't want it through a service for whatever reason they gave her. She had it all boxed up. And one of the author, or not the author, but the guy that the author was writing about, this do-gooder hacker, he got a hold of FedEx and told him what was going on, and they stopped the package from moving and got it back to the lady, and she didn't lose her $10,000. But it's amazing what they can talk us into, and they just know how to do it, and they know how to do it well.
Of course, I guess everybody knows about the fact that our gas lines, oil lines have been shut down coming to the East Coast because of hacking. I think that's still bad news. So gas prices may go up. So this is an incredible problem, and it's got to be solved somehow.
Yeah, and it's not something, we do a lot of things on our own computers to try to protect us, but a lot of these things are totally out of our control. Bob talks about it on his security updates every week on Tech for Seniors, that these things go on. And these are things that we have no control about through it all, but there's a lot of things that we can do. Change your passwords. Don't use the same password with everything. If they get your password for your email and your email is your dog's name, Checkers, and you post pictures of your dog on Facebook and say, here's my dog Checkers. And now that might be the password. And so they try different things where you go using your email address, and there is your password and they're in your account. And sometimes even if you change it and add a number to it or something, they're going to get around it really easy if you've got to do a good password. And there's so many ways, and we've done so many discussions, and Bob G has videos on it, and I know I've done some things. You got to keep track of them somewheres, but you've got to have some passwords that other people aren't going to figure out, and don't use the same ones for everything. If they get your password to one thing and you use that same password for your bank account, bingo, they go on and they're in your account. They're taking money out. And they may only take out a couple of dollars that you won't even notice, just to see if they can. Then, and if they can, then they go back and they hit you big. Bob, you want to add anything before I go to something else?
Hard to unmute. These are not new things. These are things that have been going on for a long, long time. Unfortunately, even if you use a secure password, when the site you use gets hacked, your information is now in the hands of a hacker. And it becomes even more important to, on a regular basis, either use a service that constantly monitors your account for hacks, or there are online sites that you can use and you can proactively check to make sure that your account is not hacked.
And to go along with not using the same password, you've got some accounts out there that you might have opened 15 years ago that you don't use at all. They're sitting out there with that password that you use for your bank account or for something else. And sometimes it's a good idea. What I did recently is, of course, I used a password manager. I went through the password manager and I started looking at some of the things that I had passwords to. And some, I don't even remember ever going on those sites. I signed in and it's still an active account. And so that password's still good. And if they've been hacked, they got that password. And if that was a password that, you know, way back when, I used to have the same password I used in a lot of places. It was easier. So just be careful. It's scary, but there's a way to protect yourself as best you can. But as Bob said, one of the best things to do is on a regular basis, change your passwords. And it's a really lot of work to keep up with it all, because if you change it in one spot and you've got something where it automatically signs you in, now you got to change that. And that's a pain. Every once in a while, I'll go to a website that I have to sign into, and it automatically says, we don't remember your password on purpose. You got to sign in again and then verify it. And that's a hassle. I got to open up my password manager. I got to go find that password, sign in, and then wait for them to send me either an email or a text message and then respond to it, just to get on to read something. But if they're doing it to protect me. Dick Vogel. You're muted. You're still muted.
Sorry, one of the things that I've tried to do is to add to my password records that the date that I changed that password, so I can keep track of the ones that I haven't changed recently.
Yeah, I've been doing that too. When I change the password, I say my old password, because I want to, sometimes they go to a backup of their software and now your old password works again. And so I do want to have a record of that too. So in my password manager, I keep track in the notes that I changed the password from such and such to the new password on such and such a date. And so I can go back and I can see what the old password was as well. Mike Leach, did you have something to say? No, please mute yourself then until you do. I see Stan Wallner has made it to the meeting, so that's great. Mike, I'm going to mute you because we hear you moving around and doing some things. And for some reason or another, I don't see you on the list. There it is. And for some reason, I can't mute them. Anyway, okay. Let's go back to sharing my screen and see what else I got here. I'm going to skip the turn Google Photos into Windows background with this awesome app because I didn't get a chance. Well, I'll go to it, but I'm not going to demonstrate it because I didn't download the app and try it. But it looked like an interesting article. Let's go ahead and bring it up in this and make it larger. full screen it. Says one of the best features of Google Photos is the way it can bring your picture collection to a lot of screens. If you got the Google Nest Hub, for instance, Google Photos essentially turns it into a smart picture frame. Until recently, my desktop PC wasn't getting the same treatment. Neither Windows nor Mac offers much in the way of dynamic wallpaper options. Thankfully, a program called John's Background Switcher changed all of that. I don't use a background changer for a lot of reasons, and I'll go into that in a second. The software, which is free download on Windows and an $8 purchase on a Mac, can automatically refresh your desktop wallpaper with images from a wide range of sources, one of which is Google Photos. In other words, your photos. And because Google Photos lets you easily create albums full of specific faces, your desktop can constantly cycle in fresh photos of friends and family. Setting up Google Photos with John's Background Switcher, or JBS, isn't as intuitive as it could be. But once you've got it up and running, you might never want to go back to boring static wallpapers. And so here are all of the instructions. That article, again, is listed on the page. Close this. And it's listed here on the WinSIG page. How to annotate screenshots with Windows 10 Snip and Sketch. If you're not using Snip and Sketch, you should. It is built into Windows 10. It took the place of their screen capture. Let me go ahead and do this. Full screen. And then make bigger. Snip and Sketch, if you come down here and just type in Snip, it'll show you the snipping tool, but right under it should be Snip and Sketch. Snipping tool was the old tool built into Windows. Snip and Sketch is its replacement. And I keep Snip and Sketch down here in my taskbar. I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but it's right here in my taskbar. But anyway, when you open it, press Windows logo key and Shift and S to snip what's on your screen without starting Snip and Sketch. So you can do that. If I say new, I can say, okay, I want to grab this. And I let go. Bingo, it's connected to my Snagit, and it's difficult for me to demonstrate it the way it should be because I do have another program that I use instead. But it does bring it up and then you can save it. So you can go in and you can mark it, you can draw, you can crop, you can change whatever you grabbed and then go ahead and save it. So there's a lot of things you can do in Snip and Sketch, and I highly recommend that you take a look at this article, take a screenshot. It tells you how to do that, and what I just did. You can snip now, snip in 3 seconds. Now, why would you want to snip in 3 or 10 seconds? Well, sometimes your pop-up indicators or some bars that pop up, or you might want to give it time to be able to go in with your mouse, click on something, have it open up that separate window, and then it'll take the picture. So you might want to do it that way. When you're ready to take a new screenshot, a snipping bar will appear at the top of the screen with 5 buttons. That's there. I can't show you with my mouse because when I do it, colors it. But rectangular, a freeform, a window, a full screen, and then you can close it as well. So you pick the relevant button to take the screenshot and click and let it open in a Snip and Sketch window. If you want to annotate a screenshot or an image that's already on your computer, you can drag and drop it into the Snip and Sketch window. And there's ways to annotate. You can do it with color things. You can do it with the pens. You saw how I did it with one, but you can change the colors. You can change the width of the colors. You can change the different colors. So I'm going down here. There's a ruler so you can measure how big you want it to be. Um, let's see what this is. There's a protractor, so you can make a circle or a semicircle. You can erase everything that you've marked on it. And so if you haven't used the Snip in Sketch, this is a good article to get you started with it. And if you have been using it but don't quite know what you're doing, go ahead and look at the article as well. By the way, do you get this a lot? I use an ad blocker. And now all of the websites that don't want you to use an ad blocker come up and say, I'm not going to show you the page unless you disable that ad blocker. So let me show you something that you can do. And this isn't in my schedule of what I'm going to do today, but let's do that. I say disable my ad blocker. It actually shows me what I can do. And then what I would have to do is go to my ad blocker up here. And I can say, turn off the ad blocker for the website or just this page. And I like that. So I just turn it off for the page. That will go away. And there's a number of items blocked on this page. Is only 3 anyway. Well, I don't care. And if I wanted to read the article bad enough, I could just shut it off for this page. When I do that, then I have to refresh the page. And when I do, there's the page without the ad blocker. And you can see I'm not making any difference. There's nothing on the page right this moment that I'm blocking anyway. Yeah, there's a State Farm ad there that I didn't get. There's another one, and there's this one here. So yeah, I can live with it if I want to look at those articles. And but because I use print friendly, it takes them out anyway. And usually if it says you can't read the page because you've got an ad blocker, a lot of times when you click on print friendly, it will go ahead and show you the article anyway, and you don't have to stop your ad blocker. Let's take a break and see if there's any comments or questions. How many of you use an ad blocker? Dick, John, Bob,
I
Michael?
do.
Okay, several of you do, and they are helpful. They're it's kind of like my robo killer program for my phone. It doesn't always work. Things do get through, and sometimes there's ads that do, or sometimes it'll come up and say, hey, wait a minute, you got an ad blocker. We're not going to show you this unless you turn off your ad blocker. But for the most part, it's well worth having as an extension to my browser. Any other comments? Yeah, Steve.
Yeah, the previous subject you talked about having the background, you were talking about buying that little $50 flash thing. Well, using a combination there, you can create your own background, which you can switch, one that's just plain and one that has a little on air behind you. Save your $50 and just design your own background.
Yeah, that program was free, by the way. It wasn't $50. It was $8 on a Mac and free for Windows.
No, the $50 was the one that you were thinking about buying, with had the little some kind of little light or something that would come on.
Oh yeah, well that wasn't for the screen. That was actually a little light. That was a physical light that went on top.
Yeah,
it wasn't on the screen. Yeah, okay.
So the point is, don't buy that. Just use it in your background.
Okay.
A little, so that's what I was talking. By the way, I've got to go early. I've got a Mother's Day celebration. I want to wish everybody a happy Mother's Day. All the mothers out there. In my case, it's my sister. But the advantage, of course, is having this recorded, is I can go back and see what I missed later on. So I want to thank you for that. I have to leave early.
Appreciate it, Steve. Thank you.
Right.
Enjoy your dinner. Yeah, Jim Martis, comment?
I don't actually have a comment. Go ahead.
Okay. Mark.
A way around the ad blocker thing, by the way, I use AdBlock Plus and I really like it. Firefox, which is my usual browser, has got a little icon in the address bar that allows you to display a web page with all the garbage stripped out. So it gets rid of headers and footers and all of that. You just get a page of nothing but the text of the article that you want to read. Well, what I found is when a page is complaining about you having an ad blocker, if you refresh the page and then real quickly click on that icon that strips out all the headers and footers and everything, it'll let you do that. And so you actually get to display the page, just the text, with no interference and without disabling your ad blocker.
Yeah, Chrome has an ad. They used to have it built in. Now they have it. I think it's an add-on. Let's see if I can, if it's still there. I can show you. And I can, let's go ahead and close this. And I'm going to move this
Problem
down a
with
little
only
bit.
the problem with only showing text is that quite often the pictures are part of the article. That's one of the really nice things about print friendly. It leaves
Yeah.
you with the pictures.
Let's see if I can find a website.
I know you can do it in Chrome. I don't remember how though.
Yeah, and I just did an article on it. It depends on the website you go to. You have to actually go to a website. Let's go to Poster My Wall. Maybe it'll be there. No. Yeah, right here. That's if you can create a QR code, and this is send the page. Yeah, they did away. There used to be something, and I can't remember what it was called. Used to be there. Now it's built in, I think. You have to, or I'm sorry, it's not built in. You have to have an extension for it. And I'm using print, yeah, reader mode.
That's it.
Yeah. And it shows the page in reader mode, and it shows you the pictures. The nice thing about print friendly is, so let's go back. If you don't use print friendly, you probably should. What's really nice about it is you can increase it. You can say you want the pictures increased, but not this. You can turn on and off the pictures. And let's go to one of my articles here. Right here, and let's go ahead and go to print friendly with it. And you'll see when I move my mouse over it, it turns it yellow. So I can say, I don't want that picture to show, and I do that, and the picture goes away. And I don't want that picture, click on it, and it's gone. And so you can eliminate or any of the pictures that you have. You can change the picture size. So that one's at 50, so I can make that 25%, but it didn't change the text. I can say the text I want 130%, and so it makes it bigger. And then you can print it, you can make a PDF out of it, or you can email it. It's a free extension, and it's called Print Friendly.
Sorry,
Print Friendly and PDF.
where do you find print friendly?
Okay, what you do is you go to your settings, and you go to let's see, more tools and extensions, and then search extensions, and you type in print friendly. I have it installed. Let's see, so there's a way you can
Details.
Click the hamburger and then bottom of the page.
Yeah. Hamburger, and then the bottom of the page. Oh, open Chrome Web Store, and then you search for it here. And there you go. Thank you. I think that was Mark that said that. And there's print friendly and PDF, and you click on it, and mine will say it's already there. It'll say install, and you just install it to your Chrome browser. I believe you can, it works on other browsers as well.
You highlight that link on top and put it into the chat, then whoever wants it can grab it.
We'll do so.
But you got to be using Chrome or Chromium based browser.
Thank you.
Bob, does
It'll
that
work
one
on
only
Edge. It'll work on any Chromium based browser.
Okay.
So Edge or any of the other Chromium based.
Yeah, I learned that one from Tech for Seniors when Dewey Kluse is the one that introduced it there to me, and I've been using it ever since, and it's great.
If you just go to printfriendly.com, then you'll be right there and just click on the install. It knows what browser. It even does Safari. I've done it on Edge and it knew I was using Edge. So just printfriendly.com and it'll
Yeah.
click the install and it does it.
Okay. Install browser extension. Does it list what browsers?
If you click it, yes, it does. Up at the top, it says extensions. If you click up there, you can see what browsers. Well,
Yeah,
you're-
it sees
you're- it
Chrome,
knows you're using-
Firefox, Edge, Safari, and other, and how to install it. Yep. So if
I
you're
just
running,
added it to Brave.
okay, great. Yep, good. So it was worth you coming just for that. Yeah, these little hints sometimes I've picked up at meetings that I'm still using the tools that I learned at a meeting somewhere that somebody just happened to mention and passing, and I said, well, that sounds like something I want to take a look at, and I've been using it ever since. So hopefully those who use that will like it and pass it on to other people as well. Okay, so about 2:30, we got some more time, so let's go back.
Do you see that Tom's, Andrew, has his hand up?
No, I didn't. So let me stop this and go ahead, Tom.
I've noticed when you use a Snip and Sketch and also somewhere else that it looks like you've assigned some sounds to some computer functions. Is there like a popping sound?
Oh, that pop is actually from the program I use. Is called ClipMate, and when I copy something, it does that. Yes, ClipMate does that.
I thought maybe you were able to assign sounds to different functions.
No, I have well, I got to be careful because there's some things in here I don't want to show, but ClipMate, and if I click on this, it'll have all of the things that I've copied and pasted over the last probably couple of weeks, and it saves them and actually will create more files, and I can go back. I delete them occasionally, so I don't go back that far, but and anything I've done earlier today, I can go back and find what I've copied. And another thing that it does, and I've actually got a video on my channel that I can turn this on, click that, and it says append, and I can copy one thing and I can copy another and then copy another, and it puts it all in one. And then when I tell it to stop, it says complete, and it'll tell me how many items. And when I paste it, all of those items will paste at the same time. So if I'm going and building a list of something, it really is a neat tool. I forgot what I paid for it. They haven't updated it probably since 2012, I think it was, but it works and it still works. So I use it. It's been a part of me since the early 2000s, I think. And I have it. I put it on all my PCs. Doesn't work on anything else. I'm running a program. It's supposed to be similar, and it's not nearly as good on my Chromebook. Although Chrome now, the Chromebook has added something similar, although not nearly as with all of the bells and whistles, but does have something built into the Chrome operating system now.
Thank you.
Okay. Remember what I'm doing here. And we'll come back. Let's see, let's close up a few things here. And come back here. What is plain text? Let's see, Windows Patch Tuesday. By the way, there's several new patches in Windows, and I grabbed a couple of the articles. It gets kind of confusing because you don't know which ones you've installed and which ones not, but some of them are causing issues. So you always want to make sure that your timestamp is there, and you can go back to the previous update that you did easily, because there's been some updates that have had some issues in their patches, and they fix them maybe a week or two later, but in the meantime, you can't get into your system, or you're having trouble with some things going black on you. So you might want to know how to uninstall the patch or the update. One of the ways you can do that to see what you've got is if you go to settings and then go down to update and security. I'm not going to look for updates because it'll start them. But if you look here, view update history, I think I've shown you this before. You've got the feature updates. So that shows that I did the feature update for 20H2 back in October. And then you have quality updates, and I'm going to just close that and close this. You've got different update histories. You've got feature updates, quality updates, driver updates, definition updates, and then other updates. If you go to the quality updates, you'll see that there are some as recent as 429. And wasn't one of these quality updates, it was a other update that caused some problems that people had. And they actually said if it caused a problem, you should uninstall them. And when you click on one of these, by the way, let's go to cumulative update. We'll click this. It'll tell you everything about it and what it does. So any of the updates you've done, you can kind of understand what it fixed or what it broke. Because sometimes it will tell you improvements and fixes and symptoms, some known issues in this update, and what some of the workarounds are. So some of those things you might want to look at to see what symptoms there are, so you can see if you need to uninstall an update. Whoops, closed the wrong thing here. Let's do that again. And it's back open here. So that's the other updates, the driver updates. There was an Intel one back on the 28th, another one a month earlier. So there have been some driver updates that I've had to do, some quality updates, as I mentioned. There's an update for Windows 10 version 20H2, and it gives you the KB, your knowledge base, and the number. And that tells you how you can look them up. So you can look up any of these knowledge bases either by clicking on them, or if you see something about a knowledge base and a number after, you can actually go to Microsoft and do a search on it. And it'll tell you what it did and some problems it might have had, and so on. And that's all in the update history without clicking the check for updates. Now, if I click that check for updates and it sees that there is one, it may start up doing the update, and I don't want it to, so I'm not going to click that. And this is view the optional updates, and those are the ones that you will see under quality updates and sometimes under other updates. A lot of this should be done automatically, but sometimes I like to go in and make sure that they're done. Sometimes when I read an article about an update causing a problem, I go back and see if it is waiting to be installed or was installed, and then to see if I'm having that same issue.
Optional updates only notify you. They don't happen automatically. That's why they're optional.
I'm going to jump down to these last couple ones, then maybe go back to these others. But older adults wary about their privacy online. Again, this is also from AARP. They have some pretty good articles, and you might, even though if you're not a member of AARP, and if you don't even support them in any way, they have some pretty good articles. But let's go ahead and look at this article with this full screen and make larger. This is one of the things I forget to do sometimes, and sometimes some of you remind me afterwards that I should have done it. This person, Andy Reinhardt, is comfortable shopping online, browsing the web, and using apps. He's 60, spends a chunk of his career as a journalist covering tech, but he draws the line with smart speakers. I just find them very creepy. By that he means the Amazon product, the Google product, and so on. I'm convinced that they're listening all the time, not just when you shout, "Hey, so Miss A." I've already had countless incidences where I'm discussing something highly unusual in the vicinity of my phone and suddenly started seeing ads related to the subject on my Facebook timeline. So he isn't the only member of his generation, and mostly our generation, skittish about tech privacy. A fresh online survey of 2,807 adults ages 18 and older from AARP research reveals that 34% of people aged 50 and older cited privacy concerns as a top barrier to adopting new technology. Behind only cost, 38%, and lack of knowledge, 37%. More than 8 in 10, or 83%, indicated they are not confident that what they do online remains private. So, good article about that. And it goes on. Terry Farnsworth, 53, who works in software support in the San Francisco Bay Area. He's one of those people who doesn't use the A or Apple's S. He doesn't bank online either. I use technology, but I'm cautious on how I use it. So many of those privacy concerns are absolutely valid, but regardless of age or experience level, I never want those concerns to stop people from living their lives, from completing basic tasks, and from accessing basic conveniences, said Jenny Gebhardt from the Electronic Frontier Foundation, EFF. What's more, Farnsworth surfs the web with DuckDuckGo, a browser that says it doesn't track people online. It doesn't store personnel information or follow folks with ads. That's especially true if he is searching health issues. He also favors stringent privacy legislation. But Farnsworth does buy things through Amazon and eBay, tracks his bike rides through the Strava app for runners and cyclists, and shares his location when he needs to use Apple Maps. I think it's a matter of what you get in return for the information that you're giving them. And what's the trade-off, Farnsworth says. There are definitely situations where I do kind of think it's worth it. So if you're concerned about privacy, you have to weigh with what you're getting with what you're giving. And so there's trade-offs. There's pros and cons with a lot of these things. Mitchell Kurtz, 71, a retired teacher and coach in Lower Marion, Pennsylvania, signed up for Norton LifeLock to help protect against identity theft. When he received a suspicious email that was purportedly from LifeLock, he called the company. Sure enough, it was a scam. Here's a company that's supposed to protect my identity theft, and they're being scammed. Gebhardt tells people to install security software updates when they become available. Brush your teeth, wash your hands, update your software, she says. She also strongly recommends not using the same passwords every place you log in. Where have you heard that before? Nothing will ever be perfectly secure or perfectly private, but it can be more secure and more private, and that's all we're trying to do. A good article. Again, another AARP article.
Huey,
Yes.
I just posted a link. I have a privacy channel with all tips on all the different things that we have pertaining strictly to protecting your privacy. And that has to do with Facebook, with Twitter, with you name it, all of the places that many of us visit, and how you can ensure that you protect some of your privacy. Because most people don't realize default settings share every darn thing that you probably don't want people to know about you, or don't want to wind up getting ads, because all those sharing things are out there. And these are all tricks on how to protect yourself and alleviate you from getting all of the crap.
Yeah. On some of the sure things, and this is my opinion, on some of the sure things, I don't mind sharing some information that targets ads towards me, because I think I'd rather get ads that I'm interested in than things that I don't care a thing about.
Totally
And
agree
so,
with you.
So sometimes it's not a bad thing. I have some friends that don't want any ads or don't want anything targeted to them. Well, that's great. Well, then they'll get things that, you know, if they don't go camping, they may see some things for camping materials. Well, I don't see those kind of things in most of my websites that I visit because I don't camp and I don't go searching for stuff for camping. So yeah, and I get more technology things in the ads that I receive. I go to Facebook, I see some pretty interesting pieces of equipment and some different some darn. I've gotten some nice gadgets and junk that I wanted to try through those ads. As I said, I got stung a couple of times, and then sometimes they come from overseas, and it takes a month or two to even get it. But you know, I have had pretty good luck with it.
Like you, I want to see ads that I'm interested in. I don't want to see ads from things that I have no interest in. And unless you limit it to specifically your tastes, your likes, you're going to get bombarded with all kinds of crap.
Totally agree. Okay, let's see. We're getting down to the end.
Marshall has his hand up.
One thing that I would mention to people that they might have a look at is the Brave, B-R-A-V-E browser, which they have touted for a long time. There's no ads. And I use them regularly when I want to read something without being annoyed with ads.
Yeah, I think it was Dick Vogel earlier mentioned that he found Print Friendly worked with Brave. He installed it. I think it was Print Friendly. It was one of the things I mentioned anyway. So he uses Brave, and a lot of people do. I have it on my taskbar, I think, but I don't use it all the time. Because I have a Chromebook and I just use Chrome on it. And everything matches, it syncs up. So I pretty much stay with Chrome.
That's fine. You've
but
got all the other things in place. A lot of people would like to be able to look at something without spending a lot of time with the ads.
Yeah, and
it's worth a look. It's not for everybody. Yeah,
and and browsers are kind of like cars. Some people like Fords, some like Chevrolets, some like Cadillacs. Some don't mind paying a little extra money to get something they want. And some like them free. So absolutely. Let's do one more item. I think I got time for. I think I had one more here I wanted to share. Close this. How to share an Amazon product link. Interesting article. A lot of you use Amazon. I would say that probably most of you do at one time or another. Some of you like to stay away from it. But this is a pretty good article. And what you want to do is once you sign into your account and you hover the mouse over where it says accounts and lists, go ahead and make sure you sign in. Then when you're signed in, you search for an item. Let's say you find the item, or you've already purchased an item and you click on it and go to it. Once on the product description page, look over to the top right, and above the price, you should see share. And it looks like this. When you do, you can click the share button, share options. If you want to share an email, you just click that. And it asks you who you want to send it to, and you can do so. It gives you a lot of choices and tells you how to do it. But let me go ahead and just open up I'm in the browser, and go to Amazon. And I just bought some batteries from them, so this is a safe item. And it's going to arrive. It's out for delivery for today. So let's say the 48 pack, and I want to share this with you. I think it's a great deal. There's 30 some odd cents a battery. If you go into your local grocery store, you go into your local drugstore, they're close to $1 a piece. Well, I like paying 22 cents a piece, as opposed, well, that's it for 300. I'm going to buy 300. At 48, I bought at 32 cents a piece. So I bought 32 at that. So I want to share that with you. So I come over here and see where it says share. Let me make this bigger. And move over here. I go to share, and I'm going to share via email. As soon as I open it up, watch what happens. Bingo, it creates an email. I use Outlook. So it is my default email. It opened up an email. It not only says, I want to recommend, so you might change this to something else, but it tells you what the product is, and there's a link to it. All I have to do is put who I want to send it to, hit send, and it's gone. I don't have to copy and paste and try to figure out, did I give them the right link or whatever? It's just that easy. And, it's Bing is part of the Tech for Senior group and other groups. A lot of times when I'm talking to people, what will happen is we'll say, gee, yeah, I ordered one of those. I'll share it with you. Here's a link to it. And gosh, you know what? It's a pain in the neck to go find it and try it, find the link, and then send it, copy and paste it into something and so on. So as I buy things, if I want to share that with somebody, I can just go to where I purchased something and just go ahead and share it. As you can see, I buy a lot of things from Amazon on a regular basis. And the other thing you can do with this is 16 orders placed in the past 3 months. But watch, I can go back and what did I order in 2006? And there we go. So they track what I ordered. And so what was this? So Palm One leather case for my Live Drive mobile manager. And that was in 2006. I bet it's not available anymore. At least the Live Drive isn't from Palm. But you can go back and look at past. How far back do I go? When did I first? Let's see if I bought anything 2001. Yep. Bought some books back when you remember if Amazon first started, it was a place where you bought books. Oh, and I bought an internal IDE CD-ROM writer in the year 2000 for $235. So you can go back and look at your history at Amazon and get the information. But again, once you click on it, and what happens if I click on it? It probably isn't. Oh, it's still there. I don't think I can buy it now, but I could share that link with you. And I purchased it in December of 2000. And on that note, I'm going to stop sharing. It's about 10 of 3. We're getting ready for the main meeting. But any final comments, questions? I hope it was helpful in some of the things I showed you. If nothing else, you saw that I buy a lot of crap from Amazon. Spend a lot of money there. And so I can't complain about the big box stores and the online places, because you know what? When I can't find it anywhere else at a decent price, I go to Amazon and I can find it, and it's usually shipped to me free. But sometimes, you got to be careful. Sometimes it's $10 more for the item, but it's free shipping. So sometimes you got to watch that too when you're comparing.
I usually check Amazon and Walmart.
And Best Buy.
And Best Buy, correct.
Yep.
Those 3 places, and then from there, as long as you make sure that the shipping is either included or added to the price and compare that price that way, pick the best one because the products are going to be the same.
Yeah, I ordered some.
The advantage of no taxes has disappeared from Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah, and from most websites, they've made it
Right.
mandatory in most states that they have to collect. And so the software is written now for them that it automatically, hopefully, charges and pays this tax. I hope because we pay it, they pay it.
For frequent Amazon shoppers, it's nice to dedicate a charity that they give a small amount of money to, kind of built up over time for those of us that get parcels every day.
And I would like to show you, as long as I'm on the Amazon, notice here, it's called Amazon Smile.
Yep.
And I do support it. And I do have the community I live in is a 501c3, and that's where I do that. But I also want to show you, as long as we're here.
Let me show you something real quick.
Hang on one second, and then I'll let you. But let me just finish my thought. And I go to here, my channel, and manage videos so I can find it easily. And I have a video called Amazon Smile, which has been viewed only 26 times. And go look at it and explain how you set it up and what it does and so on. And with that, I will stop sharing. And Marshall, you're next.
You paid $235 for a CD-ROM, right?
Yep.
I just bought one from Amazon. $23 to my front door.
Okay, well, yep, that was 21 years ago I bought it.
I understand, but how things have changed.
Well, I've used mine for 21 years. Yeah, not, but it was.
Marshall, yours wasn't an internal, was it?
No, I bought this because of the different computers that I come in contact with that do not have CDs.
Right.
This is USB.
Correct.
Yeah, so it's a good point. So for those of you who still have CDs but bought a new computer and don't have a CD player, that's one way around it. You can get the external ones that plug into your computer that's a USB, plug into a USB port, and you can still have a CD and DVD player. Remember, they're different. DVDs and CDs are much different.
It's also helpful when you have applications that are on CDs. Some of the older applications. So.
And there was a time that a lot of us backed up to CDs.
You better believe
DVDs. I destroyed. I actually bought a machine that I can feed CDs through, and it dimples them all through it, so no one can use them. And I had thousands. I mean thousands of CDs and DVDs that I used for backup that I ran through this machine and made it so no one could get data off of them.
When you got rid of them, you must have gained a whole room in your house.
Yeah, just about. It actually was a huge rose box, flower box, that was from one end to the other. Okay, this has been the Central Florida Computer Society Windows Special Interest Group for Sunday, May 9th.